We are covering some severe weather. A tornado warning has been issued for Anderson County. This goes until 6:30. These are going to be some short warning times issued. I'm joined with Ricky Matthews here. Ricky, we've been watching this weather setup yesterday over the plains, produced a lot of damage and wind, some hail reports, even a few tornadoes, and now it's moving into our area. Our primary concerns are damage and winds and flooding, but we can't rule out these brief isolated spin-ups, and that looks like what we have right now in the upstate, Ricky. Oh, you're on mute, buddy. You're good.
I'm sorry. Same button controls in our software. All right. So yeah, as you were saying, it's a very isolated storm here, Scotty. It's kind of congealed within another massive rain. This is a kind of a rough and ugly radar view, but what I'm going to do is show you a couple different products here. So first off, here's the radar. And if I turn off the warning, it's almost hard to pick out which storm has the tornado potential, but it's this storm here that is in parts of upstate South Carolina. This tornado warning is going to be for Anderson County. It's about 6:30 tonight. It's a radar indicated tornado moving northeast at around 45 miles per hour. So this is just to the west of the North Lake area and does not include downtown Anderson, South Carolina. It does not include the Clemson, South Carolina area either. This is east of there. And basically it's areas from Shady Springs, south and west. And can you see my screen here? We good on that?
Yep,
okay.
We got it.
This area rotation that's been detected is basically just the south and west of Shady Springs. And we'll go back in time a little bit and we'll kind of see how this progressed. And so it's been an individual, what we call low top supercell, that's able to get a little bit of rotation going. And it's just got enough of that spin going now. The Weather Service has issued that tornado warning for it. We'll go to a different product here. So mind me for a moment while we switch off of our share and go to a different share product here. So now we're looking at our GR2 analyst software. And this is going to allow us to look at more of the velocity and look at the winds in the storm as well. So this is the reflectivity or your typical radar presentation. You can kind of see where the storm is now. And the data we were looking at before is a little bit more delayed than the radar is when they have it in this faster scan mode. So I'm going to get the velocity from the warning here, and then we'll switch over to storm relative velocity. And you can see pretty well on storm relative velocity where this rotation is. So this is now north and east of Shady Springs, northeast of Highway 76, and approaching the Highway 178 area north of the town of North Lake. We'll tilt up a little bit. And this is another way you can kind of indicate where these potential tornadoes are in a setup like this, is by looking up in the atmosphere and seeing which storms have some mid-level rotation and some upper-level rotation. That allows us to say, hey, this is more than just a little storm down the surface. This is a thunderstorm that's actually doing something aloft. And you can see that here now that when we tilt it up, how there's still some velocity and some rotation, even a couple thousand feet up. We'll switch over to a couple other products here. This is correlation coefficient, and this is allowing us to see if there's any type of debris or anything like that lofted by the tornado. And right over Shady Springs a moment ago, it looked a little messy, but I don't think that was anything because our ZDR, or our differential reflectivity, looks like it is too high for that to be a good TDS. So we'll continue to watch that, but the rotation continues to move off to the north and east, northeast of the town of Shady Springs. And eventually, if this holds together, this storm would be approaching the Greenville area, I would say probably in about the next hour or so, Scotty.
Yeah, and Ricky, this area under the gun Saturday with several supercells that went through the area. So this area all too well and familiar with these tornado warnings. So again, this tornado warning goes for another 2 minutes. I am monitoring the NWS chat. No talk of them extending it, but we've still got a few more minutes for those to decide with that. Not only is the tornado threat high, but also the possibility of seeing some flash flooding. In fact, a mesoscale discussion for the precept has just been issued out. It takes a couple of minutes for that to load in. So I don't have the text with that, but again, they've highlighted our area in the upstate of South Carolina, western North Carolina, could potentially see in some of that flash flooding. I think, Ricky, this is this the tornado?
Yeah, so what I had on before, this is the SPC outlook for tornado risk tonight. And you can see where the highest risk for tornadoes is. It's kind of in this area from about Charlotte, south and west, all the way down to the Augusta, South Carolina border area. Columbia is included in this. Greenville is included in this, all the way east to Sumter, Lancaster, and then into Rock Hill, South Carolina as well. So pretty much anywhere from, let's say, Orangeburg and Florence west, there is an isolated risk for a quick spin-up tornado. And in addition to that, a little bit of a risk for damaging winds across the entire western and central North Carolina area and parts of western South Carolina, central and eastern South Carolina. But it's going to be a while before the big line of showers and storms makes it over to there. You notice our red box disappeared, which means our tornado warning has been allowed to expire. But as Scotty was talking about a minute ago, look at all the rain out towards the west. So we've got a good amount more rain, all this rain over here that still has to come through before we are done with the potential for rain and storms here over the next little bit. So it's going to be all this moisture that still has to come through our area and advance north and east. And before that happens, there's going to be these little individual cells that are able to form kind of right through here, another one down through here, and some more additional thunderstorms through here. We're going to have to keep our eyes on as they move north and east towards our region and potentially have some gusty winds and maybe even an isolated tornado with it. The other thing, Scotty, which I'll let you talk about in more detail because you know more about it, but I would be concerned a little bit about some upslope rain into the North Carolina mountains. There is a flood watch and a flash flood watch in effect for some of the western North Carolina areas, as that's an area that always seems to get all the heavy rain fun when we see setups like this.
Yeah, definitely so. So as everyone knows, the Appalachian Mountains are a beautiful thing, but they can cause some chaos and craziness with this setup. So we have a lot of air lifting up into the foothills along the escarpment, and that kind of just provides extra lift, provides the opportunity for the atmosphere to get every little drop of moisture out of it. And that's where that flash flood watch is up for the northern foothills and for the mountains of North Carolina. Looking at some of the short-term model data, anywhere between 2 to 4 inches of rain is possible. And we're talking about from now till, let's say, sunrise tomorrow. So it's kind of a short time frame to see that much rain. And so that's why we are concerned with the potential of flash flooding as well. Ricky, I'm watching that cell over Seneca, South Carolina. We're going to have to keep our eye on that one. It is wanting to peak up just a little bit there. So we will watch that. But again, the flash flooding threat highest in the western North Carolina mountains in the foothills. But also some of the high latest data is showing a strip of heavy rain developing over the Piedmont of North Carolina as well, where anywhere between 2 to 3 inches of rain is possible. So flash flooding, damaging winds are a concern with this, but also the potential for an isolated tornado. And it seems like, again, it's right in on that Interstate 85 corridor area there. So that cell in Seneca, we'll have to watch that. I did hear something go off in my ear from the Weather Service. So let me check that right quick. They are saying no new warning, and they're just saying let's not go through that again. So I think the Weather Service not wanting to issue more tornado warnings, especially after this past weekend. So I think Evan Fisher's joined us as well. Evan, located in the Asheville area. And Evan, you also worried about the flood threat there in your part of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's only been raining for maybe 2 hours at this point, kind of on and off here and there, but we're already up to about 3/4 of an inch. And as we head into the night, I'm pulling up some models here, so I'll share my screen to show what it is, where we're expecting the most rain. But it is this general area over western North Carolina that's going to be seeing the most. You see here as below the Euro ensemble that we're expecting widespread 1 to 3, like you were just saying, Scotty, with maybe a few locations along the Blue Ridge Escarpment, see 2 to 4 inches. If we kind of flip over to a more high-res model, this is a model that can depict and forecast for those individual peaks and the little microclimates in western North Carolina. We flip over to that, you can see that there's definitely some higher totals in there. We'll zoom in even closer to the Greenville-Spartanburg area. You can see it's forecasting about 2 inches, 1 to 2 inches in Asheville. But then like that little swath you were just talking about, Scotty, 2 to 3 inches up through central South Carolina and into the Piedmont of North Carolina with some local maxes down in eastern Georgia and along the North Carolina-Tennessee line.
It would help if I would unmute myself. I haven't done that in a while. One other concern tonight, as we broke in for this tornado warning that has since expired. We'll hang out for a little bit just to monitor everything. But if we do see more warnings issued tonight, we could definitely break back in. But I do want to let everyone know, I've seen a few comments here on our Facebook Live post. The Columbia radar is down. So there is some issues with that radar. A technician has been dispatched out, but we're not sure when that radar will get back up and going. So that could cause some issues later on in the evening as we continue to watch a couple of line of these storms move through the area. So just a FYI on that. So if you live in the Columbia area or serviced by the Columbia Weather Service office, the radar is not working right now. So we're going to have to rely on radars out of Greenville, South Carolina, the Raleigh area, the Atlanta area, Wilmington area, places like that, in Charleston to get some radar coverage. So, guys, anything else that kind of piques your interest right now as we kind of see what happens next with these cells coming into the upstate?
I think you've kind of covered it pretty well. I think the main thing of the next couple hours is just be mindful of the showers and storms that pop up, have a way to get watches and warnings, and have a way to be notified, especially if you're in parts of central North Carolina or central South Carolina or eastern South Carolina. As these showers and storms push off towards the east, it'll likely be nighttime. You'll probably be sleeping by the time these storms come through. So have a way to get alerts even at night while you're sleeping. Make sure you got your phone turned on, charged, things like that.
Definitely. So that's some great advice. Nothing coming out of the Weather Service. So right now we're probably going to end this stream, but we are going to be hanging out tonight. Normally on Wednesday nights on Carolina Weather Group, you'll see a new show. We're actually going to be airing a show that we completed last year, talking about the radar coverage. If you haven't been watching a lot of social media in the weather world, it's really been hit on over the last weekend of the lack of radar coverage for the Charlotte area. So we were actually able to sit down with Brad Panovich and Eric Thomas last year and kind of talk about the Carolina Weather Radar Project and just the gap in coverage that we see over the area. So we're going to re-air that tonight and kind of watch the radar and break in if we need to. So guys, anything else before we kind of sign off?
We're good.
Nothing here.
All right. Well, we are going to sign off as soon as I get into the program here to sign us off. So we are going to sign off for now. So just stay tuned with us. We will keep you up to date, let you know what's going on here in the Carolinas as this line of storms moves through the area. Again, if another tornado warning is issued, we'll break back in and give you some coverage. So until then, just stay weather aware, have a way to receive weather warnings, and we will see you if the weather warrants.